Hello everyone, I'm Mendelstein and this is the first development week of my massively multiplayer online strategy game. Today I've not yet started programming anything, but started with making a concept. And this concept I'm now going to present you. First of all, I'm a one-man team, and therefore I had to break down the complexity of the game so that the workload won't overwhelm me. But this is not particularly bad, because a part of the game is supposed to be simplicity, and after I've finished the game I can still add complexity. Furthermore, I want to release the game for Android and for PC. But now I want to show you a starting scenario with the help of a prototype. By the way, the prototype is a prototype and is not supposed to be functional or beautiful. Well, let's start the scenario. What we are seeing here is the 2D world of the game. It consists of plains, mountains, deserts, forests and oceans. Actually, the real game won't be in 2D, but as I already said, prototype. I'm also not going to display all the different values, because it would be too much work. You will start the game with placing a castle, which serves as a starting point. It generates some resources like wood and stone, and also provides shelter for 5 citizens. If the number of citizens fall below this value, then the castle generates a new citizen every X time units. Furthermore, the castle provides storage for X amount of wood and stone. You will of course start with some initial resources. After placing the castle, a border appears, which marks the empire of the player. To extend the empire, the player can send a citizen to an adjacent field. The border then automatically adjusts to the extension. To extend your empire, you can send your citizens to the adjacent fields. But to defend your ever-expanding empire, you need resources to train soldiers and to build defense. The most important resource for the start is wood. Accordingly, the best thing to do is to send the citizens to a forest and build lumberjacks. In order for the lumberjacks to produce something, you have to assign a citizen to it. Since you only have resources to build 2 lumberjacks, you need to wait until enough wood has been produced. In the meantime, you can further expand your empire. Now you can build 2 more lumberjacks and assign citizens to them. But now you have only 1 citizen left, but to further expand and defend your empire, you certainly need more. Therefore, the next logical step is to build a settlement and a farm. A settlement provides shelter for citizens and generates 1 every X time units. A farm simply provides food. But at first, you need to build a storage to be able to gather enough resources. Then you can build a settlement and a farm. After building the farm, you have to assign the last citizen to it. After building the settlement, new citizens are generated over time. Now you can build more lumberjacks and 1 or 2 quarries and then assign the new citizens to them. Now you can build 2 more farms and assign the last 2 citizens to them. You have now enough food to build a second settlement and use the new citizens as soldiers. For that you have to build at least 1 barrack. To train your citizens to become soldiers, you have to assign them to the barracks. Now you have soldiers to defend your empire or to attack enemy players. Let us attack an enemy player. For that we simply send our soldiers to the enemy soldiers. According to the concept, the attributes of our soldiers are Offense 6 and Defense 3. The attributes of the enemy soldiers are Offense 4 and Defense 4. They have more defense because they get a defense bonus. Now our soldiers get 1 damage and the enemy soldiers get 2 damage. Therefore 1 of our soldiers die and 2 of the enemy soldiers die. Let us now build some defense. We've cleared the perfect area for defense because between ocean and mountain are only 2 fields which can be attacked by an enemy. If we only secure these 2 fields, we also secure our entire empire from the north. Now we can build 2 walls which increase the defense significantly. To ensure a strong defense, we also should build roads from our barracks to our walls to be able to send quickly reinforcements. This was the scenario. It only shows the beginning of the game, but I think that the overall concept should now be clear. Today I started to implement the terrain system. First of all, I'm using a framework called LibGDX. It is not as extensive as, for example, Unity or the Unreal Engine, but at least it is free. And I also like it because it's easy to use. The game also isn't that complex, so LibGDX will do fine. Well, back to the terrain system. What you can see here is a simple terrain created with a simple technique called height map. Let me explain it to you. A height map is a simple 2D grayscale image. Now you create a vertex for every pixel of the image and you get a grid like that. Then you use the color value of the pixel as the height of the corresponding vertex and you will get a terrain. Now you can also put a texture on it and it will be even more beautiful. And here is also a smiley. That would be it for today. Today I implemented a basic shader in order to properly texturize the terrain. A shader is a program which runs on the GPU. At the moment it calculates the position of every vertex and the color of every pixel. There are multiple ways to texturize the terrain. For example, I could span one texture over the entire terrain, but therefore the texture needs to be very large. Instead, I use a technique called color map. A color map consists of 3 colors, red, green and blue, and every color represents what to draw. So, instead of drawing one huge texture, I draw for every color a repeatable texture. Blue represents snow, red represents rock, green represents sand, and no color, the black parts of the color map, represents grass. And again, here is a smiley. So far I've always drawn the height map and color map by hand or stole it from the internet. So the height map and color map weren't exactly beautiful or legal. That's why I started to implement a terrain generator. To generate the height map I use simplex noise. To understand simplex noise, one should look at a 2D representation. Left is a graph generated by random noise. That would lead to a really wild terrain. Right is a graph generated by simplex noise. The difference is that on the left, the height of 2 points which are near or far from each other is totally random. On the contrary, 2 near points on the simplex generated graph are guaranteed to only have a small difference in height, but the height difference of 2 far points is still random. And this is the resulting height map. For the color map, I look at the height of the terrain. If the terrain is below 0.5 units, then it's grass. If the height is between 0.5 and 0.7 units, then it is rock. If the height is above 0.7, then it is snow. In order to make the transition smooth, I am blending the colors. And this is the resulting color map. And that would be it for today. Today I created beautiful images like that. But I also implemented that grass is now put on only flat surfaces. I achieved that by calculating the gradients or the normals and then using barycentric coordinates to interpolate between the vertex normals of a triangle and used the result as an indicator of the steepness. That way, the mountains aren't just one rock texture, but have more alternation and therefore don't look that boring. Of course, I still have to fine-tune the parameters, but I have to do a lot of things like lightning, water, 3-dimensional grass and other objects and so on. But that was it for today and this week. See you next week.